My name is Dr. Dolahan, and I'm an energy psychology practitioner, life purpose coach, and intuitive, and I'm based in New Jersey.
What is the soul?
The soul is that eternal spiritual self of you. It is a ball of energy that you are at your core, and that is coming into these different bodies, inhabiting different bodies to have a human experience, and then leaves the bodies. It is essentially eternal. It's the eternal part of you that is coming from God Source and going back into God Source, wanting to remerge with that higher consciousness.
Is a soul born? Does a soul die?
A soul is created out of the divine consciousness, higher source consciousness, and it, in some way, shape, or form, individuates into this individual sort of experience. But its grand purpose really is to gather all these different experiences to merge back into the source energy that it was born from, and that is the whole purpose of being alive in this body. Is we want to come back into that wholeness and have the experiences so that we can remember who we truly are, which is God Source, unconditional love.
What's the difference between a young soul and an old soul?
The difference between them is that really I conceptualize it more in terms of school. A younger soul hasn't had as much experience, is sort of younger in its experiences of God experiencing itself as itself. So there is less of an experience of lifetimes and less of an experience of wisdom. Wisdom meaning, experiences of love, of forgiveness, and all of that. And older souls are just have taken the trip many, many more times and have just experienced more. And neither is worse or better or worse than the other. It's really just a matter of somebody in first grade just hasn't had as much schooling as somebody in fifth grade, and that's really all it is. Eventually, we're all going back to that same place. We're just all on the journey at different stages of it.
What is the soul's relation to Source/God?
The soul's relation to Source or God is that the soul is part of God. We are like a little particle of that source energy, of that God energy, and God is experiencing itself through us, and we are wanting to remember that we are that unconditional love. And so we are constantly in relationship with Source. It is actually the most important relationship that we are currently that we have in this experience.
Mind, body, or soul? Which is the real us?
Soul is the real us, but soul inhabits body and mind. So consciousness is everywhere. And when I say consciousness, I mean soul. It's everywhere, but soul is the real us, and it's the one that is eternal. It's the one that moves out of this experience when we die, and then chooses another experience when we decide to inhabit another body and another personality and another mind. So I would say soul is the main deal.
What's the purpose of life on the physical plane?
The purpose of life on the physical plane for all of us is two things. It's meant to be joyful here, and it's also meant for us to remember who we truly are, which is God Source, unconditional love, and that we are a part and a particle of that God Source.
Why would a soul choose to leave heaven?
Because the grand prize, so to speak, of this whole soul journey is merging back with the divinity, merging back with God's Source, unconditional love. And if we haven't learned all the lessons about what that means, which we can only learn on planet Earth or a planet that is like planet Earth, we are unable to merge back with that source. So we're moving through these different levels of consciousness, even within the heavenly realms, with the goal to kind of get to that highest source of, or that highest level of consciousness, which is God's source, where we can merge back with that. So God and us become one again.
Many people experience challenges while living in a body. Does the soul seek such challenges? And if so, why?
A soul does seek such challenges, actually strategically places them within its plan for life. And the reason is that the challenges usually come from the emotional reactions we have to relationships, situations, circumstances. And the emotions is what we learn from, whether they're positive or negative. Positive meaning any kind of emotions that are around compassion, love, forgiveness, or negative, jealousy, competition, fear of not being good enough. And we can only experience these through relationships, and we can only have these relationships in a plane like planet Earth and other planes like it. The bigger the challenge and the bigger the emotions around the challenge, the greater the opportunity of growth and of learning more about who we truly are at our core. In the end, the person that gives you the greatest sort of sorrow and strive is the one that loves you the most on the soul level. It is the one that really wants you to succeed in this lifetime, in this grander picture of why we're here. And in the end, there is no hard feelings there, right? When we realize that the soul is really that abusive parent is really on the soul level somebody who has loved us so very much. They've loved us enough to play this horrible person in our life so that we could experience and we could have a really great learning lesson around who we are at our core, unconditional love. And so in the end, we only take the love with us. We never take anything else with us.
Do souls have more than one incarnation, either on Earth or elsewhere?
Yes, souls have more than one incarnation, both on Earth and elsewhere. We will always incarnate on that plane that gives us the most benefit for our soul's progress and our soul's evolution. Planet Earth is a popular one because we have emotion and we have, the darker stuff is happening here. We have the darker emotions, and the darker emotions are actually catalysts that can help us learn more about unconditional love and all the love, the unconditional love emotions that help us remember who we truly are.
Does the soul plan its incarnations ahead of time?
Yes, a soul plans its incarnations ahead of time. It actually sits down. There's a time in the afterlife where we sit down with our mentors, with our spirit guidance, as well as with our soul group, because we have a soul group of people that we tend to incarnate with, and we plan our entire life. We plan it out based on what we specifically want to learn in that lifetime. So let's say somebody wants to learn something about forgiveness. They will plan out different events, challenges, and situations in their life, different relationships that will help them learn specifically something about forgiveness and help them overcome it. And obviously, a lot of times we need to do that through relationships. So that's when our soul group comes in. And let's say, another soul will volunteer themselves and say, well, you know what? I'm going to play that abusive husband for you to be able to forgive me and overcome that. And that's how we can also, when we understand why we came in that constellation, we can really radically forgive somebody because we're like, oh, wow, that person actually loved me enough to play this really abusive husband, this really abusive person in my life, so that I, on a soul level, could learn more about who I truly am, and it could help me merge back into God's source, which is really the whole point and purpose of being here on planet Earth.
Do we have soul groups that we incarnate with across different lifetimes?
We do have soul groups that we incarnate with throughout different lifetimes that will help us learn something about the different emotions that will help us understand who we truly are and remember who we truly are. So meaning love, and helps us shift away from fearful emotions and fear. All the people within our lives, family, our friends, business partners, things that people that are coming into our lives, we all have contracts with one another to learn and to help us walk this earthly path and walk this soul path too. I also want to say here, it's not just about learning bigger lessons. It's also when you have a mission here on planet Earth of some sort, a purpose to help each other with each other's purpose and mission. That is also soul group work that you will do together.
Are there contracts or agreements between souls?
Yes, there are contracts and agreements between souls. All the souls that are family members, our friends, whoever is going to come in, we all have an agreement with each other about what we're going to teach each other in terms of remembering who we are, in terms of remembering that we are unconditional love, and then also helping us with our purposes here on planet Earth. Specifically, this time, a lot of people are coming together and helping each other with the mission that is helping planet Earth awaken and remember why we're all here.
Do we choose our parents or other family members ahead of time?
So we do pick our parents, although I have to say it's not entirely straightforward. We often pick one parent, one specific parent that will help us with the specific things that we want to learn here and how we want to evolve our soul and also with our purpose here on planet Earth. And then a lot of times the other parent is just a nice bonus, a nice add-in into that. But usually the parent that we have sort of most tension with is the one that we, both positive and negative, is the one that we have chosen.
Do spirit guides or angels assist us?
Spirit guides and angels do assist us. We have a whole divine team on the other side that will help us with our specific challenges, our specific things that we are learning here on planet Earth. We can always call on them, but we do have free will. So if we don't call on them and don't ask them to help us, they won't breach the free will sort of boundary. But yes, there is a whole team of different entities, different beings of the most highest radiant love that want to help us here on planet Earth throughout this whole entire lifetime.
What is death?
Death is being born into the afterlife. So we leave this body, or the little ball of energy that is our soul that has taken on all the memories of beautiful experiences and the feelings that we've had through them, leaves the body, and then moves into the other dimensions of consciousness that are outside of this physical reality. And then we just do the whole thing again. We get cleansed, and then possibly start planning another lifetime and another body.
After death, do souls return to visit loved ones still on Earth?
Yes, loved ones. The loved ones that have passed on will come back and visit us, especially those of us that are grieving, because in some way, shape, or form, we're connected through that grief with them. So they will always come back and help us and visit us until they know that we're okay down here and we were able to let them fully go, and then they will possibly move on. But some of them might stay with us our entire lifetime because they will have taken a place in our divine team to help us move through our entire lifetime. Often that happens with grandparents who will want to be on the divine committees of their grandchildren and help them through life. But it can happen with other loved ones as well.
What is the veil of forgetting and why do we need it?
The veil of forgetting is the veil that comes over us once our soul has merged with our body, so after birth. we forget the other realm, the other side, all the beauty and wholesomeness that was on that other side. We forget our soul contract. We forget why we came here. It's all for us to rediscover on this side again. And why do we need it? Because if we don't forget why we're here, there's no fun in the game, right? It's more fun to really figure it out, figure out the mystery, and figure out why we engage in different relationships, why the emotions are triggered in these relationships. Because without it, we won't learn anything. We won't engage in it. Let's say it this way: we won't engage in the lesson because we already know why it's here for, right? So why would we engage in the lesson if we know why we're here, right? So that's the reason why we forget.
Discuss the role of free will in a given incarnation.
So we all have free will to craft our experiences here on planet Earth. We do have, soul plans and contracts and all of that, but we can choose whether or not and how we want to engage in it. There's better outcomes of it, and there's less good outcomes of it, and that's all based on free will. I always explain that as an intuitive. I always tell people I cannot make any predictions because I clearly can't, because we all have free will, and based on that free will, we can upshift or downshift our energy and also affect the outcome of things. When we can use intuitives and our own intuition to kind of remember some aspects of our soul contracts, but then it is still our free will of whether or not we want to engage in the contracts in the highest way, coming from a place of love or coming from a place of fear. There's a lot of responsibility with free will and coming here with free will, because we can make decisions that are either aligned or not aligned with our soul contract.
Is life on the physical plane an illusion?
Yes and no. It is an illusion in that this is not the only reality that we're in. So we're not the body. We're not having an experience, a bodily experience, and then we choose to have some kind of spiritual things going on the side. So this isn't the only reality. It is more of an awakening to the fact that we're a spiritual being in a physical body, and that there is so much more to us than what meets the eye and what general society wants you to believe. Life is, as Shakespeare put it, a play on a stage. So we come into this reality sort of like actors on a stage, acting out this personality and this role that we're playing in this lifetime, right? And that all of it is an illusion, because it's just a play. It's just a staged setting in which we learn and in which we feel emotions. But the emotions that we take with us after we exit the stage, after we exit the film, that is absolutely real, and that is what's going to stick with our soul and what we are going to bring into our next incarnation, our next lifetime.
Do we create our own realities?
We create our own realities with our feelings and our thoughts, or better, our thoughts and then our feelings. So as we think different things, we create either negative or positive emotions around this, and these emotions are actually energy that ripple out into space and then attract other things that will help us create our reality. If we're conscious of it, we can create whatever we want in our lives. If we're unconscious of it, there is a possibility that we create things that we might not necessarily want in our lives in this space and time. Now, that said, it's a little bit more complicated than that, because we also obviously have soul contracts and soul contracts with others, and the divine plan that we came in with. So some situations that will come in are not necessarily created with our conscious mind, our ego mind in in this reality, but they're actually meant to come in to help us grow and evolve. But part of our soul growth is to learn how powerful we actually are, because we are created in the image of Creator, and Creator can create anything, right? And so we are meant to also remember that because we are like that unconditional love, we also can create whatever we would like, and in whatever way, shape, or form we would like to see our life. So it makes it easier to work through soul contracts and to also walk through challenging situations that we might have planned beforehand, because we can create positive thought form and emotion and frequency around it that will help us attract positive things and people into our lives that will help us make it less challenging in that moment.
Describe the life between lives.
The life between lives is a time period in which the first stage we come into a place where we, number one, review our past life, or review the life that we just came out of. And it's literally like we sit down with our mentors and the divine team, and we say, well, this is what we came into this lifetime to experience and to learn, and what have I actually accomplished off of it. And there is no judgment around this. It's ever loving, right? It doesn't matter if you accomplished all 10 things you had on your list to accomplish in this lifetime, or only 4 or 5. Because you will likely pick up the rest that you didn't accomplish and then create a new life plan with a new life. And then the first stage is also for rejuvenation. So a lot of souls will, especially if you had a really hard lifetime here, will go into sort of like an afterlife spa, where we will rejuvenate our soul, where we will get cleansed of all the hard experiences, the hard feelings. Only the love stays with us. And we will come into our soul groups and have sort of soul conversations about, this worked, this didn't work, and kind of debrief everything. And then there is a piece in between where we can decide different things. We can come on the divine committees of our loved ones that we left here on planet Earth and help them out. Like grandparents can come back and help their grandchildren, and other parents will often come back and help their children and all of that. Sometimes they will stay on the committee for the lifetime of the other loved one that has stayed back on planet Earth. But sometimes they will just stay there for a moment because they know that they only really need a momentary support from them. There's numerous other things we can do in that middle stage. We can come and be, on the divine committees of other souls that we might have incarnated with in other lifetimes. We can learn different things on the other side, just like we learn here. We can sort of prepare for other lifetimes. We can do a whole kinds of things. A lot of souls also just want to stay and sort of rejuvenate and just enjoy that beautiful, wholesome feeling of love. And then the last stage of it is really the planning stage, when we decide that we're ready to go back to planet Earth. We can do that for several reasons. Number one, we still have a lot of things to learn. Most of us here on planet Earth still have a lot of things to learn before we can merge back with divine love. So that can be an objective of wanting to come back to planet Earth, or a planet like planet Earth, because we can only experience emotions on planet Earth, not in the heavenly realms. And we can only experience them when we have a body and we can engage in relationships. And then another reason why some souls will come back, and more, the generations that are now babies and children, and then subsequent generations are more and more souls that come here for a specific purpose. They have a larger mission to help create the environment to help awaken other souls and help them understand why they're really here, because our planet is moving from a schooling planet into more of a golden heaven on earth, sort of higher vibrational planet, in which we no longer need all of these lessons and all of that. So those are the 3 stages. Once we've planned our life, we will plan our parents, figure out a body, and then jump right back into the next life experience.
Are we judged or punished for our mistakes in the afterlife?
No, we're never judged or punished for our mistakes in the afterlife. The afterlife is absolutely unconditionally loving. It's a beautiful place there. And it's more of a, if you haven't really learned the lessons, it's more of like, okay, then you're going to have to repeat that in the next lifetime, and you'll just do it in the next lifetime. But it's not an issue. You're not going to get punished. There's none of that. All of that is in human terms. All of that is a human idea, punishment. And it's really, it comes from the root of fear. And the root of fear is something that comes from ego, that is all human. The afterlife is unconditionally loving. It's God and it's grand source, and there is no punishment. There is no, any kind of consequences there that would be perceived as negative. It's really just okay, you're just going to have to repeat it.
Is there such a thing as hell?
Not in the way that we humans contextualize it or put it, the idea of hell, the hell realms is not real. However, I want to say that based on our consciousness and based on what we, how we conduct ourselves here, every choice on planet Earth has a responsibility. There's lots of responsibility about every choice on planet Earth. And if we make bad choices for ourselves, bad choices meaning choices that come from fear, if we harm other people, then that comes from a lower vibrational the frequency of consciousness, and then it's very possible that we will end up in a lower vibrational frequency for a while once we pass over. It's not a punishment, but it is a way for the soul to sort of do their penance and understand that our actions here on planet Earth do have consequences and are important. We have a lot of responsibility here. If we turn and we pivot and we turn towards more of loving choices and choices that we make from love, we raise our frequency, and so then we also will sort of leave this body and end up right away in the more heavenly realms. So hell doesn't exist in the way that a human contextualizes it. There's no hell flames or anything like that. It is more of a space that is isn't as high vibrational as that heavenly place, and it is really honestly also self-imposed in some way.
Describe the life review.
So when we pass away, first we are being picked up by loved ones or other religious figures and beings that feel comfortable to us and that we recognize, so that we don't have to be afraid. And then the next stage is a life review. And in this life review, we're really just kind of debriefing our life experience. So when we assume that we come in with a plan, right, and we have this checklist of things that we want to do on this planet Earth in this lifetime, we are taking out that checklist and we're saying, well, what did I actually accomplish during this lifetime? How did I affect other people? What did my soul learn about that? And so that's being sort of guided by your spirit guides, your divine team. You're being taken through this, so the images and feelings through your entire life, so that you can review it and learn from it, and then also see, okay, this worked well, this didn't work well, and it will also help you down the line if you decide to come back and incarnate in another lifetime. To craft your new soul's plan, because maybe you want to learn a little bit more about compassion and hone your skills within the compassion realm of being more compassionate or being more caring towards others, or whatever else those bigger topics that help us remember who we truly are. And so that's the whole purpose of a life review, is to really kind of debrief and summarize the life experience and how we evolved our soul and what we learned from it, and how we want to continue our journey. In the life review, we also experience sort of the other back end of every emotion and every action and every impact we had on a person. So if we made somebody sad or we made somebody angry, we actually get to experience the flip side of that, to understand really how that choice, because everything is a choice, right? How the choice of making somebody sad or how the choice of making somebody angry really affected them. So we get to see both bookends of that emotion, so that we can fully learn from the experience, and then also craft the next lifetime, customize it towards that.
What is karma?
Karma is a way for the universe to balance out any choices we made that impacted another person. So if we, had an impact on somebody that made somebody extremely sad, it broke their heart, all of that, then in the next lifetime, we're going to have to balance the scales, and we are probably going to have an experience where we will feel exactly those emotions as well. Let's say I cheated on my husband in a previous lifetime and I made him very sad and I abandoned him for somebody else. Then in the next lifetime, I'm likely going to have a relationship with that same soul that was my husband in that lifetime, and likely the tables will turn and he might cheat and leave me in a really, really bad way. And it's not to punish me, it's not a punishment. It's more of we have to balance the scales, because everything in the universe needs to be balanced and in harmony. And when we do something that was not rightful towards somebody, we unbalance the scales. So it is our responsibility. It's in our bank, right? It's like a bank account. And we have to sort of pay back what we did. And it's also a part of really learning, part of the learning process of the bigger concepts like love, forgiveness, compassion, all of those bigger concepts that will help us remember who we truly are and merge back with unconditional love.
How do you define forgiveness?
Forgiveness is an understanding that the truth is all love, and that we do have these plans with other people, right, in order to move towards love, in order to help them remember who they are, unconditional love, in order for us to remember who we truly are, unconditional love. And so then when we have that realization, we can radically forgive anything that has happened to us, because it's all for that one purpose of learning, learning the grander idea of who we are, which is love, which we can only learn if we have dark and uncomfortable experiences with other people. So I see forgiveness as a process of understanding, our true nature, and understanding other people's true nature, and really realizing that the whole universe is love at its truth and its core. How do you define happiness? I define happiness as a realization of a self-realization of who we truly are, which is unconditional love. And then the realization that the whole point and purpose on planet Earth is that we want to merge back with that grander consciousness, that we are actually part and particle of that grander consciousness, that grander consciousness never leaves us, that God consciousness never leaves us, always talks with us, is within us, we are part of it, and this body and everything else is just an illusion, that we're moving towards that love consciousness. And that when we engage in that more and more, and our choices come from that place of love, that's when we experience true happiness and true joy, because it is our truth. And when we live in our truth, we are authentic, and we are, that's just the place, the root of where happiness comes from.
Discuss the idea of oneness/unity and how we can apply it in our everyday lives.
So the idea of oneness is actually understanding that we are all special, but we are also all the same at the same time, because we are all that same ball of energy soul. We all have the same journey. We are all walking each other home, right? We all have the same purpose, in that we all want to remember who we truly are, and we all want to feel joy, true joy and true happiness. So understanding that we are this ball of energy and not this body is when we can understand that we're not, separate. Separateness is an illusion that this body and this human ego place. It's an idea that I'm separate from you. That's just an illusion. We are really all one. Consciousness is all one. That's why we can telepathically communicate. It's all energy. So that's the idea of unity. And when we come from that place of we're all this one ball of energy, that's the soul, right? Then suddenly the surface doesn't really matter anymore. So it doesn't matter if I'm in a white body or in a black body. The backgrounds don't matter anymore. They're all just parts of the roles that we play on the stage that we're in. But it is just that. It's just the tool to learn more about ourselves. And the reality is that we're all one in the spiritual sense, and we're all on that same journey and that same path.
What does the belief in separation cost us?
The belief in separation costs us a life of joy and happiness. It is a belief that is rooted in fear. It is a belief that our personality is the only thing that is truth, that is reality, and that it's us versus them. We have to get on top, and it's there's only this one body and that's it. And then after that there's nothing. And if we come from life, or if we live life from that space, we live life from a fear space. We live life from a space of there's not enough, from a space of there's lack, and it's really costing us our joy, because the joy comes from understanding who we truly are at our core, and that the whole point and purpose of this life experience is to understand that we're unconditional love, and that we come from that place and we go to that place, and that we really just need to sort of share, that love amongst each other, and competition is an illusion, and all of that. So living life not from a fear place, but from a love place.
Where is heaven?
Heaven is all around us. Heaven is a consciousness frequency, and that we create ourselves as well. The more loving we are, the more we bring heaven into our reality. It's really as above, so below. Our mind bridges that. And so if we stay more within the truth of who we truly are, and more in touch with that spiritual self of our true nature, heaven is all around us. And it's the veil, that illusion, will kind of go away. We create that veil of an illusion, and it thickens when we stay more in our human self, or our egoic self, of believing that there's separation. So heaven is all around us, and when we leave our body, we directly merge back into that. But because it's all around us, it's also why loved ones can speak with us, and other entities can be of assistance.
Where is God?
God is within ourselves. God is without ourselves. We are God. We are created in the image of God, and it's the purpose of being here is to remember who we truly are, and that we are as powerful as God. That we are God. This is not to be meant in a grandiose way, but it is also a reality that all of us are little gods walking the earth, and we have the power to create anything we want to. And we are meant to remember, that love that we carry around with us, that we come from, and that we go back to.
Many believe we're shifting to a higher consciousness on this planet. Do you agree? And if so, can you describe this shift?
Yes, I agree. We are shifting to a higher consciousness. We've been shifting from a three-dimensional, very material reality into a five-dimensional, more higher frequency reality. Prophecies have predicted this. Prophecies of all religions and all backgrounds have predicted this time and space on planet Earth. The world as we know is ending, but it is not ending in a physical way. It is ending in a conscious way. We are going through the last big revolution on planet Earth. It is a revolution of consciousness and an awakening to our true nature, and it will truly bring heaven on earth. It will bring this, it will raise the frequency of planet Earth to a place where planet Earth will no longer be a schooling planet, but it will be a planet where, a higher frequency spiritual beings will have an existence on here, and probably death and birth will be taken away at some point as well, because there won't be any point anymore.
What's the secret to remembering who we really are?
So my secret to remembering who I truly am is meditation. And what meditation does for me is that I'm able to separate my human self or ego self and all the stories I tell myself and about other people from the true self or my soul, that essence that I came in with. And I have a remembrance of what that feels like. So when I'm able to sort of shift through all the human emotions and all the human feelings and the stories and the assumptions that I'm creating on a daily basis and shift into that spiritual self, then I'm also available to higher guidance. And I'm also available to really directly communicate with God and receive teachings and receive guidance from that higher source about how I can be most loving and most in my truth of being part and particle of that God source.
What does our soul want us to know?
Our soul wants us to know that this life experience is much, much grander and much bigger than what we think it is. That we're not just in this body. It's not just this mind. We're here for a grander purpose, for a bigger purpose. We all have a unique purpose. We're here to remember that purpose and to step into action and do that purpose. And we're here to remember who we truly are and really to be joyful. It is also about, learning how to be truly joyful by, stepping into our truth of that divine being that we are, that we're good, that we're loving and lovable, and that we're here to affect each other in that way as well.
Is there a positive message or message of hope you'd like to leave us with?
The positive message is that it's all good. When we know that, everything that happens to us for a reason, that we plan some of it, that we are powerful beyond measure, that we can create anything we set our mind to, both positive and negative, then it's not as scary. We're not just floating around in space, not really knowing what's happening, right? But we know, oh wow, I'm really here to just play this role for a little while, to learn all I can, to be as loving as I can, and to affect other people in the most loving way, and then to just walk each other home and potentially go into that next adventure. So when we know all of that, we can lead a life that is full of positivity and of hope and of love, and we can affect other people in that way. So that's the message I'm leaving with everyone.